All right, viewers, good afternoon once more again. We are going to continue with the Revolutionary Settlement Act. Most often, the GCE board asks a question: the English Glorious Revolution was a process and not an event discussed. Most students cannot answer this question because they don't know what they are asking them to do. When we say it is a process and not an event, it means that at the end of the event, which was a war that was fought from 1688 to 1689, this was an event. The event came to an end, but the process did not end it. The process to end the revolution still continue by passing acts in the parliament. So we are going to look at the various acts that were passed in parliament at the end of the event that make the revolution a process. With a process, it's a very long term something. An event can take place for 1 year, but a process can take place for many years. If you look at the Revolutionary Settlement Act from the Bill of Rights of 1689, it only came to an end when we have the Settlement Act of 1701, but the war came to an end in the year 1689. So here we are going to be looking at the various acts that were passed in parliament to make the process an end, or the event to come to an end. We have one, we talk about the Mutiny Act. The Mutiny Act, when we talk about mutiny, we are talking about an army. The Mutiny Act was passed in 1689, and this Mutiny Act was passed to limit the number of soldiers, to stop the creation of an army in England that could be used as an instrument of arbitrary and tyranny in England. So this Mutiny Act was often passed every year in the British Parliament, so that the king will not be able to create a standing army that he was going to use it to terrorize the people of England. So that the king will not be able to create an army while he will use it as a pretext to levy taxes on the people so as to maintain their army. So this Mutiny Act came, or we could also call it the military settlement, came and settled the idea of leaders creating standing army in England. The next act that was passed, we could talk about the Toleration Act, or we call it the Religious Settlement Act. This Religious Settlement Act, or the Toleration Act, that was passed in 1689, came in to prevent Catholics from holding office, or dissenters from holding important positions in England. It came in to tolerate the First Act that was abolished in 1673. It gave some freedom of religious groups to come up in England, except of Catholics, that they were not given freedom of worship in England. So the Toleration Act came in and gave toleration, or it tolerates some religious groups, especially Catholic dissenters, to handle important positions in England, as well as some religious groups that were given freedom of worship except of Catholics. The next act that was passed was called the Triennial Act of 1694. The Triennial Act was passed in Parliament to specify how often the Parliament should meet and the term of the Parliament. And this Triennial Act came in and stipulated that the Parliament should meet every 3 years, after every 3 years, and most often frequently. So when the Triennial Act was passed, it has a weakness because Parliament was frequently moving, and at one moment they discovered that they have to modify it, and by the year 1716, there was the Septennial Act that was passed in Parliament to increase the number of years that the Parliament should meet from 3 to 7 years. That's called the Septennial Act. The last act that was passed was the Settlement Act. Why was the Settlement Act? The Settlement Act was passed to finalize whosoever to take over the throne. This act came in place because Mary, the wife of William of Orange died without having a child. She died childless. Her sister Anne, also her only child, died also. So the act was passed now to make it clear whosoever to succeed the throne, and it was Sophia of Hanover, who was the granddaughter of James I, that the Septennial Act prescribed her or her child to succeed the throne. So the Septennial Act was put in place so as to stipulate whosoever was to succeed the throne, since Mary, the first daughter of James, died childless, and her sister also have the only child who also died. So there was a need to settle whosoever will succeed the throne should, in case any problem of successor come up in England. These were the revolutionary settlement acts that were passed in the parliament that came and made the English Revolution a process and not an event, because the event came to an end in 1689 and the revolution now only has to come to an end when the process was finally completed with the putting in place of the settlement of 1701. Thank you so much for watching our videos on the English Glorious Revolution. Any question you have, don't fail to put it in our comment box. Put your suggestion also. Subsequent videos will be coming up in other topics as we will be entering into American War of Independence in our subsequent videos. Don't forget to subscribe, as I earlier said. Follow our previous lectures. Thank you for watching Benjamin Academy. Thank you for following Sir Enchelon.